I decided to bring in a couple of earlier models that I produced this year. These are a couple of conversions. The first one here is a 72nd scale ESCI or ESCI DC-3 model with a converted right wing with a DC-2 right wing. The reason for this is because this is representing an airplane that flew for CNAC, the Chinese National Air Corporation, which was a subsidiary of Pan Am in the 1920s and 30s. That was their way of getting into mainland China when the European countries were trying to keep Pan Am out of China. The model was pretty straightforward. Actually, the fit on it was really nice. Comes with a full interior for the time period. The model, I think, was made in the 70s. Yeah. The DC-2 model came from I think it's an MPM model, which was absolutely atrocious. It was just one horrible kit. CNAC's DC-3 that was damaged in March of 1942 by the Japanese, it took a hit while it was parked on the ramp right about there from a 110-pound bomb which went through the wing and then exploded on the earth below it and put a big hole in it. So they decided to order a new wing, but it was going to take at least 3 weeks to get it from the States, from the Douglas company, so they had a wrecked DC-2, which was also damaged during the same attack, and they spliced the DC-2 wing onto the airplane. There are several different write-ups about what they called the DC-2.5, and some of them are very, very inaccurate. Most of them are very inaccurate. This yellow report that involved in doing the actual work, and it wasn't a straight pull the wrecked wing off and bolt the new wing on. They had to realign holes, new clamp locations, new belt cranks had to be installed. The flap gear had to be completely modified. And even with all that, the airplane flew with a very true negative pull to the left because of the difference in the size of the ailerons. And this mechanic was also a pilot, and he flew the airplane when the pilots refused to fly it because they thought it was unsafe. So he flew it and told them that it was safe, and he found that by strapping a 10-pound wrench onto the yoke on the right-hand side, that was able to keep the airplane straight and level. The airplane flew for about 3 or 4 sorties that way, and then finally a new DC-3 wing came in. They put the proper wing on, and pretty much that was the end of it. The markings on the airplane actually stand for CNAC, written in the Chinese script. All of the markings are hand done. There are no decals. I had to hand paint everything on there. The cowlings, if you notice on the front of the kits, they're different from the standard DC-3 cowlings. I had to modify those because this CNAC DC-3 was actually a canceled French order, and they wanted the cowlings done that way so that the upper rear cylinders heated up quickly in cold weather. So they were able to get the engines to warm up faster. That's why the cowlings are designed that way. The modifications include the different locations of the antennas, the different way the door opens instead of the escalade door that comes straight down. The French wanted the door to open sideways. Douglas had several different side door kits for ordering, for when companies ordered the airplane, they wanted the door on this side or on that side. They wanted it to open sideways, open down. They wanted the large cargo door. They basically had whole panels, whole side sections of the airplane set up that way. So all you had to do is just say, well, what do you want? And they'd say, well, we want the side open door to open into the wind. They put that whole section onto an airplane. And they were able to make modifications that way and build the airplanes faster.
Now the doors that open downward, didn't they have the steps built into them?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, those were called the escalade steps.
I had to bring a ladder for this one.
Yeah, this one actually had to have steps, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of, like the Dutch airlines, had the door on this side because they always started the aircraft with the left engine first. Most of the other airline companies with twin engine airplanes started the right engine first. Yeah.
Is that because of where do they have the pilots sit?
Pilot's left hand on all the airplanes. It's just, it all depended on how traffic was monitored on the airport.
Yeah.
If you came in this way, you wanted to go to the terminal in this direction, the door had to be on this side. If you were coming in this way, it was all the way traffic was directed on the airports.
Yeah. Interesting story.
Thank you. Well, this can be found online. It's a really cool story about the airplane. To finish up, the model is painted in well, the DC-3 part of it is painted with flat aluminum, the small quarter-ounce testers, bottle, all in enamels. And then the other color is Humbrol's aluminum, to show a difference there in the different, because for some reason the DC-2s had a different top coat put on them. They were darker.
Yeah. Did you use dull coat over it? Or?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yep. After I painted the model and did all of the letter work, I coated it with just spray, rattle can dull coat
Yeah.
enamel. All of the square patches you see there are actually doped patches that are on the actual airplane that from actual fragment damage that was done through the canvas when the base was attacked, and the flight controls that are fabric covered were damaged. And I tried my best to match the photographs, because these are the photographs I used.
Shrapnel didn't make an impression on the aluminum?
Well, it apparently didn't, because all of the markings, all of the stuff that's here,
Yeah.
here's the before and after, shows only that the fabric was damaged. It's either that or fabric that got damaged by other means, and that's how they repaired it using, they didn't use, in fact, I just remembered, they did not use dope. They used canvas and black tar, which made the elevators quite heavy.
Yeah.
Here's a photograph of the airplane after the bomb hit.
Wow.
And there's another photograph in here somewhere. Oh, I must have left those at home. Yeah, I have another photograph like this, slightly larger, which is the one I used for scaling dimensions to copy all of these
The characters.
the characters, yeah.
Like this one, I think there's a.
That's
one
the
of
chung.
Yeah.
That is the Chinese chung. That means China.
I was gonna say, I've seen that before.
In fact, that is the logo they put on all the CNAC airplanes after the actual painting of all the CNAC airplanes during the war. They were all basically used as cargo airplanes to fly over the hump. In fact, our DC-3 at the Historic Flight Foundation is the only surviving DC-3 that was with CNAC. It's CNAC 100, and I have a large diorama model at home. I'll probably bring that one next month of the airplane done in. Well, I'll leave that as a surprise when I bring it in, because it's a different idea.
Is that the two-sided?
The two-sided one, yeah. So I'll make that a surprise. Let's see, what else? I don't think I did anything extra on the bottom. I didn't modify anything on the bottom.
That story
pretty
would
much
make a great movie.
Oh, it is. In fact, the book China Wings is a book that I recommend for anyone, even people that have nothing to do with aviation. It is a fabulous book. It inspired me so much that I've done a lot of research about CNAC, and most of it came from that one book, China Wings. It's the story of CNAC.
I'm wondering if the story got pirated for Flight of the Phoenix.
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because Flight of the Phoenix was,
$1.19 crashed in the desert.
the thing is that
Strap-
China Wings, the book China Wings came out in the late 1990s.
Right.
And, yeah. But
I think Jim
There
Stewart
have
was
been-
in that in the
there have
70s or
been
something.
a lot
Yeah,
of
the original one.
There have been a lot of
Original one,
historical
yeah.
accounts of airplanes built with other wing components and things like that that could have been the inspiration for Flight of the Phoenix.
I thought that was based on a true story, though, Flight of the Phoenix, wasn't it?
I don't
know.
I don't think so.
remember.
I don't think so, yeah. Okay? Any
What
questions
about
on
your
the...
tires? Your tires.
What about my tires?
They're a little interesting.
We got mud on them, that's
They
all.
got mud on them.
Oh, that's all?
Well, they're actually, if you look at them, the tires are, well, these are pre-war tires, so they would have the dye in the rubber. It's tires that were produced during the war that would be brown. For all you guys that build World War II airplanes, okay? Rubber was brown, it was not black during World War II, because the dye that's used in tires to make them black was not used. So most of your tires on production airplanes built between 1941 and 45, American, of course, the tires would be a very, 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 very dark brown. In fact, little Tester's quarter-ounce bottle called rubber is the perfect shade. And that's what I do with all my tires. Any questions on this one?
Nope.
All right, this is the Pacific Coast's Hawker Hurricane Mark I, their canvas wing version. And I decided to convert that into the Hurricane prototype. There's always a lot of paperwork and a lot of stories about the Spitfire prototype and a lot less about the Hurricane prototype. And since the model came with a lot of the really nice raw parts that were easy to convert. I decided to do a complete conversion and shape it into the prototype you see before you. The interior is actually copied from only one black and white photograph that's available of the prototype, and you can see it's much more sparse than the typical combat version. The aircraft is painted in the same aluminum from Humbrol, and the shiny is called Silver Fox. Oh, and by the way, these are all brushed. These are, I don't like, my typical brush and sponge technique. I don't use an airbrush. And the thing I love about Humbrol paints is that you can brush coat them on, and the brush strokes just literally melt away.
So what's the metal part finish?
The metal finish there?
Yeah.
It's brushed hand paint called Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
Number 11,
It's on
Humbrol Silver.
Number 11?
Yep, it's called Silver Fox, and it's brushed on.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really
That
nice. It looks
actually
like
looks-
actual
Gives it a nice
metal.
finish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a raw aluminum or something.
A
Yeah,
polished aluminum.
yeah,
Yep.
polished.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's actually what they did. They polished it. The airplane is representative of the way the king and queen saw the aircraft in 1938 with the prototype Spitfire at Duxford. In fact, I had the idea of producing a diorama of both the prototype Spitfire and Hurricane. I may still do it. When they were presented to the king and queen in April of 1938. Which is cool because the Spitfire was done up in a really nice light blue at the time, called Rolls-Royce blue. It would make a nice comparison. The markings were straight out of a British RAF 1939 print sheet by Cartograph. And the letters on the side and numbers and stuff like that were pretty much from old decal sheets that I had to make the numbers. The side nose section there shows the modified exhaust ports that were used on the prototype and later canceled because they caused a lot of corrosion to build up on the inside of the engine cowlings, even though
Yeah.
that showed a lot more streamlining than the exhaust stack sticking out, but it really didn't make much of a difference. If I can just lift this and show the bottom here. Okay, a lot of modifications done to the bottom. Of course, the radiator, the flaps, the wheel wells, the landing gear doors are completely different. The struts are modified. These were all pretty much, I added details to these pretty much by scratch, building most of the components. Then they had, interesting, the flap that opened and closed on the prototype was on the front part of the radiator instead of the rear. So basically what I did was I cut part of it away and just turned the rear half around and put it in front, and it made a perfect match.
Nice.
Which makes me believe that Hawker probably just took the radiator and turned it around and put a new nose on it. Okay. The propeller is out of the kit because the early prop, the early wooden two-bladed prop was like that. The spinner, of course, I had to modify. The sharpness of the tip I made from a different spinner, and then I put a small drill bit on the end of it, put it on my drill, and then pretty much just spun it while it turned down the drill bit on a vise, and I was able to get that cone that I wanted, that cone shape, to taper a little bit sharper. The nose cowling is slightly different, of course. The panel lines had to be rescribed because they were different on the prototype. The narrowness of the nose here is different than the production model, so I had to reshape that. The scallop panels that go in the wing root here are different, so I had to reshape those. What else did I do? Oh, yes. The rudder is very different. It's this different shape, and also the prototype actually had a retractable tail wheel. So as you see the bottom here. So that had to be cut into and made that way, so I modified that. All in all, this was a lot of fun to do this. I really enjoyed doing this modification, and it was really nice to see the results instantly. When I did the cockpit and finished it all in a couple hours, wow, that came out nice. The rudder, the elevators I had to cut. That's another thing. The elevators are cut, put down, and the shape of the horns are different than the actual production model. But all in all, it was really a lot of fun to do it this way.
Nice.
Any questions on that one?
Very nice job. Very
Thank you.
nice.
I'm doing a series of hurricanes, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm entering them probably next year at the Seattle show. You know, you can do a group.
Group bill.
Right.
I think I'll have 5 hurricanes done and do the, because there's so many different variations of the hurricane. We'll start with the prototype Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 4. And,
Gonna let them do you again?
and they'll probably, yeah, I'm a sucker. They'll let me do me again. I entered this in the show.
Thank you.